What's going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Vikings need to find their quarterback of the future, and JJ McCarthy, the true junior, the national champione, all he does is win no matter what, as well as be an offense that runs the ball. He certainly could be in the mix for the Vikings, and I just feel like this could work out. McCarthy, tall, big arm, mobile, just like Kevin O'Connell. Who knows? But also said the same thing about Drake May. Yeah, but basically, if the Vikings can't get Drake May or Jaden Daniels, I want them to take JJ McCarthy just so stupid-ass Sean Payton doesn't get him. I am that petty, and I do not care. That's all, man. But the Combine's going on, and JJ McCarthy had himself an interesting day. A little bit of good, a little bit of very good. So rap sheet, blah, 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 blah. JJ McCarthy may be closer to top 3 quarterbacks than we all thought. So that is obviously very interesting, and I feel like that there is a movement right now of talk about JJ. Well, first off, it started a couple weeks ago of, hey, McCarthy, even though he doesn't have the big-time stat box like Penix did, or especially Bo Nix, and because he was in a run-first offense, as well as Michigan was completely owning teams, and he didn't play a lot of fourth quarters. But McCarthy, betting on traits, betting on his youth, betting on his potential and ceiling, that he could be a first-round pick, and then he could be a top 10 pick. Now he could be a top 5 pick, or amongst the top 3 quarterbacks. Now I still think it's gonna be May, as well as Williams and Daniel in the top 3. But I think if McCarthy broke into the top 10, it's not going to shock anyone at this point. Then, what's interesting? So, JJ McCarthy, you knew that he has great mobility. He's a plus athlete and all that stuff, and that's a wrinkle that Kwesi talked about would be nice with the Vikings quarterbacks. And yeah, you saw what could happen with Dobbs last year, but also if you combine that mobility, that plus mobility, with a quarterback who was capable of operating the offense in rhythm. But again, you knew that JJ McCarthy was an athlete, but he ran the 5th fastest 3-cone drill of anyone in the draft. And since his offensive lineman on Sunday, that will be it. So he ran a 6.82 3-cone, only slower than Kamari Lassiter, Ricky Pearsall, who had himself a damn good combine, Luke McCaffrey, as well as Isaiah Williams. That's it. So that's freaking hilarious to me that JJ McCarthy had such a great 3-cone, showing off that agility, man. Also, all right, so putting into context, Andrew Luck actually has the one of the fastest 3-cones for a quarterback in combine history. So Luck was a plus athlete too. Kaepernick, coming out of Nevada, a 6.85 3-cone, and ended up being Harbaugh's quarterback with the Niners. So, I mean, Jim Harbaugh does have a type. It's funny where, Harbaugh's been known to be a run-first guy, but also his quarterback having some movement skills, it definitely works out. And it started off the day. So the measurables, right? McCarthy. So reading these numbers, this 6.024. So 6 is feet, and then 0.2 is inches. It's the NFL, so it's the second number is always going to be 0 generally, unless guys like 5'11". But 0.2, and then the 4 is how many eighths of an inch. So this would be 4/8, so half an inch. So he's 6'2.5". If it was 1, it'd be 6'2 and 1/8. People get confused, but that's what it is. 219. 219 is big because his listed weight at Michigan was like 202, 203. So the fact that he's now this is not a Bryce Young bait and switch, where he weighed in like 205 last year, but he didn't throw because he was carrying probably all that water weight. But McCarthy weighed in and threw the same day. So this is not a mirage. This is actually legit weight being put on. Also, he made these throws with a slight hamstring injury, and also he did that 3-cone with a slight hamstring injury. It's insane, man. But so 9-inch hands. Yeah, that's what people are talking about. I do this every year at the Combine. I have 8 and 5/8 inch hands. That's the reason I was not an NFL quarterback. But 9-inch hands, of course, the jokes, take my strong hand. But Joe Burrow has a 9-inch hand. Same thing with Jared Goff. So, Michael Vick at 8.5. So is it the be all end all? No. But it is something to note, especially, usually what it comes down to is like, hey, if you have small hands, you can't throw the ball outside in cold weather. I mean, it's true to a degree, but also McCarthy's been playing outdoors in Michigan, even though, yes, Michigan doesn't play as late into the season at home as he is going to in the NFL, but whatever. But McCarthy chucking at the combine. So the throws were really stood out. Now, comebacks and digs along the sidelines were absolutely fantastic. Solid arc, great velocity. The middle, I guess digs more of the middle. Doesn't matter. But the middle routes, crossing routes, the bang eights, good timing, good placement. Deep routes. Now, people are going to point to the deep routes as like, well, he sailed 3 out of 4, blah, 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 blah. I would rather he sail, overthrow the receiver as opposed to underthrow the receiver because he doesn't have the arm, right? And a lot of this is footwork and fundamentals, and plus, coming in cold and not having any chemistry with the way that some of these receivers run. And also, it goes both ways because, the receiver doesn't have any chemistry with the quarterback either. So, he may not take off as fast as you would think because he's thinking, okay, this McCarthy guy is going to short arm it because obviously in Michigan they ran the ball all the time because JJ McCarthy is Christian Ponder, so blah, blah, blah. By the way, if you compare JJ McCarthy to Christian Ponder, it's probably the worst comp out there. I feel like that's just lazy. That's just, you want to say that he's going to be a bust. Bo Nix is literally Christian Ponder. Jordan Travis, not the Florida State thing, but Jordan Travis is literally Christian Ponder in terms of they're fine underneath in terms of accuracy, but once you get deep second and third level, it's a little bit shoddy. But deep routes, the one that he connected on was money. Fade routes were money as well. So overall, it was an impressive day. I would say that Penix was slightly more impressive, but I think Penix just has more natural arm talent as it is. But McCarthy, like you can tell, like there's a lot of traits that you can scale to, and just ignoring the black and white box score stats. Again, betting on traits versus just whatever. Because McCarthy had like half of the stats that Bo Nix did, but are you willing to wager that Bo Nix is going to be a better NFL quarterback than JJ McCarthy? I wouldn't, and also the league isn't going to either. And I think McCarthy, given his age, he just turned 21, I think that's going to be a big-time factor. And ideally, he would sit for a year and work on fundamentals and break them down and rebuild them. But if, say, for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins leaves and he has to start right away, let's do it. Let's do it, man, because McCarthy, especially if the Vikings get their running game going, he's going to be in a great situation with JJ and Addison. Hawkinson comes back eventually, Darius O'Neal, Kevin O'Connell, as well as Josh, not Luke McCown. So I do think that McCarthy could be pushing his way up through the draft and through the rankings because for me, he's still 4. Penix is a little bit closer to McCarthy now, but for me, it's still May, Williams, and Daniels in the top 3. But I'm not ready to say he breaks into the top 3. But could you see a world where he's top 8? I would actually take that bet, or make that bet rather. See if we can get like 2 or 3 to 1 if JJ McCarthy is a top 8 pick because I kind of think that there's smoke with the Giants. The Giants QB coach was hanging around with JJ McCarthy quite a bit. It's clear that they're not in on Daniel Jones. And if it goes quarterback 1, 2, 3, do the Giants stick and pick and take McCarthy at 6? Wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. So I think the Vikings. So in our mock draft the other day, we got roasted because the Vikings traded up to 8 to take McCarthy because in our simulation the Falcons signed Cousins. I think that if the Vikings want McCarthy, I think sticking and picking, I don't think that's going to work because number one, the Giants could take him at 6, even though they do have Jones. You have the Falcons. If they don't settle their quarterback issues, whether trading for Fields or signing Russ or Kirk, they certainly could take him. And if the Vikings sit at 11, maybe a team like the Jets or the Bears or the Titans or the Chargers, they want to trade down. And maybe the Raiders or the Broncos. Well, not the Chargers in that spot because they probably won't trade in division. But if the Raiders and the Broncos, maybe even the Steelers, are inclined to get up and go get McCarthy because they see him as the guy, the Vikings could be caught flat-footed. So I think if they want McCarthy, they may have to move into the top 8. But again, we'll see what happens. I think JJ is going to be a great pro. I think that he fits in perfectly with what O'Connell and company wants to do on offense. I think his mobility would give him a solid floor at first. I think that he is still developing and growing as a passer, but the tools are there. The arm strength is there. The accuracy is there. throwing with anticipation, playing within the framework of an offense is there, as well as mobility is really, really good too. And of course, I'm down for the JJ to JJ puns for the next decade plus. Bring it on, man. Bring it on. But your thoughts are our thoughts. JJ McCarthy is dynamite at the combine. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skull Production Value.